Hey, what is up everybody, Reubin here. My name's Reubin and welcome back to the best Space Engineers creations. So I've gone again and I've had a look and try and find some of the best community creations. Some things that are out there, some things that are outside the box, or just some things that are beautiful and have made use of the true power of this game. So I've got us staring at the sun because I've got the ship already loaded in. It's behind me. But before we go into that, this next ship, and before we do that, I just want to state that today all we're going to be having a look at is ship. There's 3 ships that I want to have a look at today. Quite simply because when I had a look at these 3 ships and I saw them on the workshop, I just looked at them overall and I was like, wow, okay, these are stunning. They're impressive either in design, in interior design, in capabilities, in capacity, or in weaponry itself. So today we've just got 3 ships that we're going to have a look at. Now the first ship, I am probably going to butcher the name beyond belief, but it's the Ganymede class attack ship. The creator, the Steam name of Dolan, is responsible for this beautiful piece of art. And if we swing around this way, we'll be able to have a look. There she is, right there. Now she is stunning. Nobody can dispute the fact that from a distance and visually, the ship is beautiful. I mean, the lines, the colors. I like the grey that they've gone for. It is a very nice soft grey, but you can see that there is like a tinge here and there just to add that overall aesthetic appeal. So we'll start off here on the side. You can see it's got Gatling guns facing up, front and backwards, but these are also on a swivel, so if anything comes in from a distance, these can obviously swivel to get an angle on them. We've got some more Gatling guns at the bottom, as well as some Gatling guns on the side. And if you weren't 100% sure, here's a nice connector to connect onto the ship if you're possibly a supply ship, or basically just come across this in the open, and it's marked beautifully with some purple or pink lights on the side. Now if we go around to the bottom over here, you can see it's almost got this divide in it, which I absolutely love. And if you actually have a look at the entire silhouette of the ship from the front, I mean, that is stunning. And I love how he's used the certain rounded blocks over here to make it seem like this is all part of the communications of the ship, and it's just worked beautifully. If we go down over here, you can see we've got some more weapons down here at the bottom, and it's got actually what looks to be a strobe light here in the front, but we've got some rocket launchers at the front over here, and there at the back you can see there's some more weaponry. So this thing is kitted out to defend itself. Now if we have a look down this section over here, we've actually got a hangar over here. Let me just turn this light on so we can actually see. We've actually got almost like a launch bay over here with 3 very powerful spotlights obviously looking down. So I can only imagine in a crisis situation, you've got whatever's inside there, possibly a fighter. You just come zooming out of here, and obviously you're out the front of the ship, you're supported by the Gatling gun and the rocket launcher over there, and you are ready to take on and defend the ship if need be. As we go into this section over here, you can see that we've got lights in here with no real purpose, but it's also smart because when it comes to weapons, obviously if it's a rocket being shot at your ship or just bullets, they're gonna have to eat through an outer layer of armor first, then there's a gap, then there's another layer of armor that it's gonna have to get through. So very smart in the way it's designed, obviously its defenses. So that is obviously the side of the ship. Now let's have a look at the back over here, and this once again is stunning. Now with this being obviously the main propulsion, you can see that we've got thrusters facing to the side, thrusters facing down, up and backwards. You can see how we've positioned his Gatling guns to ensure that your thrusters are always protected, because the last thing you want is to lose mobility in the heat of a battle. So the way he's placed those turrets, absolutely beautiful. And then also the design at the back here, the casing that's basically around the thrusters protecting them, and then using these struts almost that protrude on the side to place the thrusters on is stupidly smart. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But now let's go inside and let's have a look at exactly what this creator has done on the inside. So we'll open up this door and we'll drop down to the floor. So you're greeted with this lovely blue glow. Now we've got a couple of cargo containers, obviously as we walk in, possibly want to dump off a couple of things, along with a conveyor system up there with an oxygen tank and obviously a oxygen vent over there as well in order to pump some oxygen in here. Now it does however look like it is not sealed up properly because that is still saying yellow, but there could simply be a setting in the overall display itself. What I do like is if we just quickly hover up and we just have a look down there, we've got another oxygen tank down there connected up to the conveyor system. So that's telling me that this entire ship is fully integrated, meaning this is survival ready. Should you need to build this, should you want to build this in a survival situation, it will work, along with another oxygen storage tank above us. And once again, he's got an interior turret protecting our corridors. And once again, because there are no mods used in this creation, he's made clever use of the doors here, so that if need be, you can close those off and shut off the outside world. Very, very clever and very, very smart way of using those doors. Now that goes down to C and B deck. Now this over here is what I like. We've got this gravity bay almost inside here. Now this is where you can see all of our programmable blocks, as well as our timers. All of them are inside here, along with the gravity generator itself. So it's almost a central room with a gravity generated gravity generator, oh my gosh, located in the center of the ship to ensure that the ship has always got gravity front to back. And obviously we've got our vents mounted on the roof above us, got stairwell A over here, and then we've got the bridge, starboard missile launcher and port missile launcher. So before we go to the bridge, let's have a look at our missile launchers over here. So this will obviously funnel us down, and then we'll be able to get into these rooms over here. Once again, we've got quite a couple of oxygen storage tanks on this ship, and as you can see, everything is piped up, everything is connected. And let's move on. And as you can see over here, now this is almost a 3D printer. The best way I can describe a room like this is a 3D printer, because what will happen is this is a projection block, so this will project basically a torpedo or something over here. These welders will weld it into place relatively quickly, and then obviously the door will open and it will fire out that torpedo. Very, very clever. A lot of thought had to go into designing something like that, and obviously testing to ensure that it actually works. So very impressed with that, and obviously it will be the same that is now just mirrored on the other side. So we're going to make our way back up through our staircase over here. Once again, I love how he has used up this space and hasn't wasted space unnecessarily. As you can see, in every single nook and cranny, you see you've got oxygen tanks being stored, oxygen tanks being placed everywhere. His hallways are protected. You can see we've got the conveyor system along the roof placed nicely, keeping everything in. Once again, we've got oxygen storage tanks along the top there. So he's made use of his space around him very, very well. Before we go back to the stairwell, we're going to have a look at the bridge. Now we walk into this bridge and we are greeted with a plethora of lights and chairs and everything. We've got a couple of buttons over here, and this is attack mode. Now, I'm not sure what this is going to press, or what me pressing this is going to do, and I'm kind of just scared of what's going to happen if I actually do. But what I like about this is almost placed in these doors over here. Now this will obviously seal off, securing the bridge, making it obviously less vulnerable from the windows that are over here, but the windows do add a sense of visibility around you should you need it. But obviously with a sophisticated attack ship like this, obviously all its integral systems are all located in this one room, and you can do everything from this room without needing any form of visuals. And I love how he's almost been able to make a full silhouette in pure data form on these panels over here. Very, very well done. And the way he's placed everything in general is just awesome. And then obviously this is where we get to control this absolute beast. So we'll move it to the back. We'll use those thrusters, and as you can see, everything gets propelled down there. And this just takes us to C and B deck access. So once again, clever use of space. I love the way he's laid out the platforms and the catwalks. No making use of those horizontal or vertical corridors. Now over here we are greeted by a bit of an open room. Once again, we can see the piping system and the electrical work above us, and we can see a board over here of our components. Now you can see our radio communications, our detectors, explosives, solar cells, power cells, superconductors. All of that is displayed on this thing. So if at any point we aren't sure what we've got, we can just refer to one of these screens and it will tell us exactly what we do and don't have. Now this funnels through, and as you can see, this ship has been prepared for long distance. We've got the oxygen generators over here. We've got oxygen storage tanks, both lined on each side of the wall, lined across the top, and it is prepared for basically what I'm guessing long range fighting. Now its warp capabilities, it can jump medium range, so a fair distance. It's not designed really for those long jumps, but it serves its purpose. So we go into the cryo bay. Now, as it says, pretty self-explanatory. We've got a stunning design on the top here, basically creating all of these domes underneath, above all of our cryo chambers. Now, obviously, this is where the crew would be while we are busy taking those long distances, obviously traveling, possibly going into light speed, having our marines obviously stationed in there until they are needed. We basically just gone the corridor over here, and we'll backpedal quickly. This just obviously takes us down to the stairwell that will lead us back down to the previous deck that we just came from. So as you can see, we are now at the point where that bridge was. So this is basically just a stairwell that leads us to the exact same section. But before we go up another deck, I want to continue down this side. So on this side, we have got the med bay. Now the med bay, once again, you guys know this is where you come and heal yourself, get some more oxygen if your system is down for some reason, or simply change the color or your overall suit in total from that point. And I'm not really sure what this room is for. I think it's an empty room. I think maybe you could use this as a bedroom if you possibly want to, maybe captain's quarters. Not 100% sure, because all that's really in here is a cargo container and a vent. Or this could possibly be used, let's see if it's not mentioned. Nope. This could possibly be used as a brig. There's nothing really in there. So possibly if somebody's being court-martialed, you've been able to capture some kind of space pirate, I don't know, you could throw them in the brig over there. Could be a very good use for it, because I see it doesn't actually have a sensor for that door. So now we've got the lower radar bay. Now the lower radar bay, obviously, as it would say, is where we detect. Now it's quite simply a case of a sensors that have been put on all sides of the block. A rotor is busy rotating our standard block over here, and it has been placed quite nicely in a open room. So very, very well done. And I'm actually quite impressed with how it was actually accomplished overall. Now this will obviously toggle the block on and off, and then those are empty itself, and then obviously we've got the displays over there of what is in the area. And then he's just finished off the underneath with some aesthetic appeal and some design, basically just rounding everything off, making it look nice and clean. So we're going to land over here now. Instead of going up the stairwell, we're going to take these stairs up here and funnel back this way. Okay, so we've got a corridor that leads down, so we can see into that section over there. Doesn't really go anything, but it does give, for example, maybe the engineers a good observation point of the crucial systems that are down there. We follow this platform down that way. Now we can go this way. Now we can continue over to the other side. Now the other side leads us down to the short little corridor. That's just a window, and once again protected by interior turrets. And down this side you can see it's got the escape pods, the pod bays, the mass driver access, and the bomb bay access. Once again, also protected and perfectly piped up. Down a set of stairs into this room over here on our side. Now that goes down, so let's go this way first. Well, I suppose it doesn't really matter. They're both going down. So in here we have got our escape pods. Now these escape pods are fully working. Now we'll come back down this way and see how they work later on. And obviously we'll follow it down this way. That shows us the mass driver access. So warning, extreme gravity during operation. So as you can see in here we have got, well, a lot of gravity generators. And this, yeah, if all of those are switched on, I can only imagine you would barely be able to move. We've got our gyroscopes in here. We've got everything accessed through this section. Very, very clean, very nice design. And I take it this is a very essential part that you do not want to, well, have destroyed. So it's a nice way to protect it, and I love the red writing that is put over there to basically ensure you and show you that that is warning. Now down into that access we have got our bomb bays. So our bomb bay will open up. Now that is if we want to end up dropping bombs on any planet below us. So what we'll do is we'll open up this door, and we'll actually end up having a look down. So as you can see, this leads all the way out through the bottom of the ship, and that can drop, for example, torpedoes onto the planet below us. And then this leads once again into another form of bomb bay. So obviously our projectors over there at the top will display bombs, will basically draw up torpedoes, will project torpedo blueprints out in front of those welders. Those welders will weld it into place, and then this door below us will give way, dropping those bombs on the planet below us. So overall, the ship is amazing. The attention to detail, the depth that the creator has gone into creating the ship is truly impressive. And once again, it just truly shows what can be done in this game. If you've got the patience, if you've got the know-how, and if you know what the hell you're looking for, you can do it very, very simply. And once again, it just expresses the fact that there are no limits in this game, that the limits are quite simply your imagination. That is it, and I truly love it. I just wish I could pronounce the name. I'm still saying it's Ganymede, the class attack ship. I've probably butchered that name, but overall, bloody well done. Okay, so the next one we are going to have a look at is Heracles. Now, before I go on with that one, I just want to mention, I don't know if I can't actually remember if I said it or not, but the Ganymede, the previous class attack frigate that we had a look at, was done by a Steam creator by the name of Dolan. The next one we're going to be having a look at is called Heracles, and it's done by the Beauty of Wars. So if we have a look at this beautiful ship, once again, it is stunning, and I actually think I'm upside down. Ships like this are very difficult to try and understand their orientation, but the lines on the ship, it looks so confusing, but the way everything has been put together is stunning. And once again, I mean, look at that silhouette. That is beautiful. The way everything protrudes, the way everything looks, the thrusters obviously giving us more than enough power than what we actually need. We've got basically a viewpoint from this section over here at the bottom. We can see one of the warp drives over there. So once again, I am thoroughly impressed with the overall appeal of the ship, what it looks like. And as you can see, just like the Ganymede, this one is kitted to the teeth. We've got 4 Gatling guns on either side. Actually, we have got 6 Gatling guns on either side. We have got 4 Gatling guns on top, along with the rocket launchers. And then down at the bottom, I'm guessing it is mimicked once again. The thrusters are built in nicely into the ship, and it has got, once again, an overall beautiful aesthetic appeal. So we're going to switch over this way, because I think I actually had it right the first time. Now this leads nicely into what I would call a hangar, but it's more like an open-aired hangar, because as you can see, this leads nicely out from the back of the ship, or the front of the ship. Hell, I don't even know what the front of the ship is. I actually think this is the front, yeah. So it leads in from the front of the ship, nicely into the section over there. We've got an observation deck directly ahead of us. We've got connection points on the floor and the ceiling over here, and we have got this lovely interior design over here. Once again, making use of almost every single possible block to design this into it. But I love the catwalks that basically drop down on the sides over here, so that there's nothing ever obstructing the way of possible incoming ships. As you can see, that everything is piped up, everything is neat. He's got a couple of seats down. Maybe somebody wants to take a break. They can do exactly that. But these little crossworks, they've got crosswalks to ensure that nothing's ever being obstructed by ships that are obviously coming and going. I mean, this is beautiful. I'm not actually sure as to what the purpose of this ship is. I don't know if it is military class, if it's civilian. I don't know what its purpose is, but once again, very unique. Now obviously you can very easily see the difference from the last creation versus this creation. This creation is a little bit more chaotic compared to the smoother lines that the previous ship had, but nonetheless it is beautiful. You can see how everything has been made use of decent space. You can see we've got the refineries above us, we've got the conveyor systems all mounted in there, we've got our upgrade modules obviously powering possibly what could be the assemblers. So everything is within basically this one room over here. Now it does lead into the ship itself, but this is the main heart of the ship. This is where everything is done. The gravity generator is there at the bottom. We've even got 1 or 2 interior turrets protecting the inside over here. Everything is connected and piped up. The warp drives are down there. Everything, this is the heart, this is what the ship was designed for, is the main use of this facility. And well done to obviously the creator for getting that right. Now what I do like, what some people have actually gone ahead and done, is when you place down a block, especially in creative mode, it places it down complete. As you can see, all the blocks around us. But even though it's in creative mode, if you take a grinder and you place a grinder to it, it'll still grind it away slowly, leaving the actual frame. and obviously leaving that frame, it looks like it's almost a form of reinforcement or rebar that is possibly holding some things into place. So basically making use of the different stages of building when coming up with a design like this. And I must say, it's a lot to look at, but the more you look, the more it makes sense. You can see the spotlights, you can see the gravity generators, you can see where all the assemblers are, you can see how this room would be truly functional. So we'll move into the interior side of the ship. Wait for the door behind us to close, and then open up the next one. Now I love this. Walking over this glass floor, basically, where we can look down not only onto the reactor, not only onto some more of the piping, but also the gyroscopes that obviously give the ship movement. That is nice and unique. Basically a glass floor. And I also love the fact that you can, through the stairs, see another gravity generator below the platform itself there. So we get onto this bridge section. Basically, we can see the warp drive there behind us. We can see obviously stairs going to either side where we've got some cryo chambers, and then we've also got this observation deck that will obviously look down. Will not only look down onto the entire operation in front of us. Possibly this is where supervisor does what he does best and supervises over the entire operation there below us, but obviously we can go out and see the ship in all its glory. And for how small the ship is, it's actually quite impressive as to how it moves. So once again, you can hear those beautiful engines kicking up. And then we'll switch over to the front and watch this thing slow down. Making use of the smaller thrusters. Not quite making use of those big thrusters as of yet, as there is no need. But once again, we'll hop out of that chair and continue with the tour. Now that obviously just leads down to the other side, as I do believe this is also mirrored right to left. So we'll go up these stairs and we'll have a look. So obviously we've got the med bay on this side. We don't have a med bay on that side though, I don't believe. No, we don't. That side is all just cryo chambers. Now the cryo chambers, obviously a very good thing for those long distance hauls. We've got a programmable block on this side. So we'll go into this section over here now. I love this seat the most because this seat has got this beautiful display of obviously important information, the cargo, the power usage, what is used where and when. We've got the speed, obviously, that the ship is moving. Obviously, if somebody else is flying, we can still monitor the speed and everything else inside this section. This is a very, very nice part from the ship that you can obviously view. So we'll jump out of that seat and we'll have a look. Now, it is actually connected to the rotor. This arm can actually move up and down to different points of interest, so you can obviously look down and see as to what can obviously happen. So push that button and you can see it raises the platform up. We can look down. Somebody else could possibly be standing over here at the bottom now, seeing some of the less important screens, but everything is connected. Now that, as you can see, takes it all the way to the top. So we'll get in over there. Oh, sorry, wrong button. We'll get in over there. We'll look over to our left over here. Oh, come on. Nope, it's not allowing us to press the button. So we'll do this manually. We'll access it from there. And let's see if the rotor is in here. Captain seat rotor. And reverse. Okay, so as you can see, this is going to take us up. Going to give us a nice top-down view of what's going on. But also, it gives us a view of what's going on the outside. So it almost gives you like a cockpit-style view from the top of you. The way the glass is angled in and around you. So it gives you this nice perspective from the top here, possibly to be able to spot enemies that are above the ship. Whatever the case may be, it is a nice feature to the overall ship. So let's have a look over here, and let's just quickly, the captain seat rotor, reverse. Obviously this is now just going to take us back down. But I'm impatient, so we'll just jump out of that. Let's jump over to this side and open up the door as well. You can see all of these doors are now opening up. It gives us this open hangar bay basically, and the whole silhouette then changes from the outside. You can obviously have ships coming and going, being repaired, being dropped off, obviously things being brought in and out of the ship. So not as clean with the lines as the previous ship that we had a look at, and for some unknown reason those two Gatling guns aren't working. They're busted. Don't know why that would be. Could possibly have something to do with the thrusters that are located there. I think there's maybe a design flaw. But nonetheless, the ship serves a purpose. Obviously, everything is tailored to a certain need. Each ship will obviously do a different job. Our last ship was a fighter. It was a frigate. It was an attack ship. It was designed to be in the midst of things. This is more something that possibly miners or salvagers or something would use, or possibly as part of a entire attack fleet, obviously for things to come and go, get repaired, because it's got the facilities in here with the multiple entrances and exits, with everything piped up nicely, with the way it is designed. The ship can serve a very practical purpose, and I'm actually quite impressed with it. I'm actually quite impressed with how everything looks. Once again, it's not as clean, but I like it. Personally, my own opinion, obviously everybody has their own. Mine is that I like it. It is unique. It looks very cluttered in the center there, but the more you look, you see, the more it makes sense how everything has been placed. But yeah, that was the Heracles, and once again, just like the previous ship, very, very impressed. Okay, so the next one we are going to be having a look at is another creation from Dolan. So 2 of the list on the ship this week is obviously from Dolan, but this one is the UCCS Tango. It's a charter freighter, and this is a big boy, and I don't know, its overall aesthetic appeal is unique. It almost looks like a pistol, but not quite. I mean, if we have pan over here, you can see that is gorgeous. Nobody can deny how clean, how beautiful, how smooth, how futuristic and space-like that design looks. I mean, look at the back of that ship, the way all the thrusters are positioned, the blinking lights. We can obviously pan in on here. No real parts over here that actually serve a purpose, but it all goes towards the aesthetic appeal. Basically looks like it's part of the connectors or part of the ship's wiring, if you want to call it that. And the way the thrusters are placed, obviously with the massive thrusters at the bottom, this is stunning. Then obviously if we pan over to this side, once again mirrored right to left, we can see that there is a connection point on the side here should we connect without actually having to go in to the hangar bay. Also, it's got a little bit of defense, obviously not nearly as much as the previous one, but it's got a little bit of defense should it need it. If we pan over to the front over here, I like that almost factory look that it's gone for, with the overhanging roofs, the slots in the center or between the pillars basically. And then we move to the front over here, and it almost now just looks like one big cannon. That's basically what it looks like from the front here. Like that thing's going to power up and just blast out a laser beam and destroy an entire planet. And then once again, yeah, in the front, a whole bunch of parts put together in a very unique way that makes it look like those are possibly communications antennas or just different parts leaning towards integral part of the ship. If we do see through this window, however, we can see there is actually a cockpit in there. But we'll float over to this side and we'll have a look at this underside. Now, as you can see, we do have some piping a little bit exposed over here with the Gatling gun protecting everything. No real purpose for this at the back here, but clean lines as always. This section over here for me is my favorite. If you have a look at the underside of the ship, it almost reminds you of the old Star Wars movies when they're flying over the Death Star. You've got those silos, those buildings, no real reason or purpose for it being there, but it's there and it adds to the overall aesthetic appeal of the ship itself. And then the way he's placed all of these parts sticking out here, once again with the incomplete blocks, as I explained on the last ship, you can see that the design on this, there was a lot of thought put into this, obviously making use of the rotors to get those unique angles. And obviously very difficult because you obviously need to have the rotors positioned exactly the same for obviously them to go in a mirror fashion such as that. So we'll push the button and that will open up into the hangar bay. We'll land on the floor, wait for that to drop down into the base itself, and you are greeted with that beautiful rotating light. I don't know if you guys saw it, when the doors were coming down there was a yellow light that was basically running around the edges, obviously warning, stating that there's a moving part in motion, that the doors are opening up, so be careful. Now I love the entrance. It's got this beautiful spotlights that basically shine right into your face as you enter into the center of this room. It's got a lot of space, so a decent sized ship, possibly a smaller cargo vessel or a smaller what you want to call a small transport ship, can land inside there, get the crew on and off, maybe switch them out for rotation into this massive space that obviously leads out onto the other side for the other hangar bay. Very clever use of lighting, and once again, if you have a look at the top there, just the atmosphere that is created by all of this is beautiful. So we'll open up these doors that will lead us into the cargo hold itself. Now obviously, once again, like I mentioned, every ship has to serve a purpose. This ship's purpose is cargo. Now if we run down here, we can see it has got a shitload of space for cargo. Obviously, I love the ambient lights over here. You don't need a lot of light in here because people aren't exactly going through here. This is quite simply just for cargo. And I love almost how as you walk through here, the lights go on and off behind you and the lights switch off in front of you. But it is once again serving a purpose. This is a cargo hauler. It's designed to haul cargo. That is its design, and it has got more than enough space. If I'm not mistaken, these are the large cargo holds. Each one of these can hold a stupid amount of cargo and basically resources that can be obviously transported between bases, between planets. And a ship like this in a survival situation has got a very real practical application. Now I didn't take the stairs over there because obviously the stairs will just lead up over here into this section over here that leads us onto this area. And once again, very nice. Now this will obviously turn on all the lights in the cargo bay and the cargo hold door itself. So let's whip around and let's get onto the top platform over here. Now the top platform, as you can see, basically just looks down, and up here is some integral parts. Obviously, once again, the piping, some more cargo bays, but this is showing you how all the cargo bays are actually connected. We've got some spotlights in here, obviously giving us a little bit of light. So let's turn those on. Obviously, now these will obviously shine all the way through onto all the cargo bays we've got at the bottom over there. Very clever, very nice, very beautiful. Now this actually leads us into basically the inner workings. You can see over here we've got a couple of cargo containers. Obviously, if you need to drop off a couple of things, you can do so from here. The spotlights, obviously, that obviously will turn on those lights over there. This will lead us to the jump drives. Pretty self-explanatory, not a very impressive room, but it does house the jump drives. And as you can see, the jump drives are stacked vertically, meaning we are able to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5 inside this one room. And then obviously it funneling through to this side. So that obviously just wraps around from the other side, and this reads basically routes around into the repair room. Now the repair room, once again, pretty self-explanatory. This is where repairs are done, and very smart use of some of the blocks to basically create this interior feel. Once again, if you guys download the ship, you guys can download a whole bunch of different mods that will basically allow you to furnish off the place a little bit nicer, just to make it look a little bit more homely. Obviously, turn off my flashlight just so you can get a true understanding of how it looks. Very clever use of a display over there as well to make it look like a laboratory counter as well. Very smart use of a lot of the blocks over here, and also once again a use of the doors basically being used as shutters. Very clever, very nice. So we'll go into the next room over here that leads into the E-deck private quarters. So as you can see, he's used an upside down display over here as a bed. A very clever use of it. We've got a table here for us. We've got a TV obviously so that we can see the news, watch the sports, if we've got any reception, and then obviously a view out into space itself. Now this is for the deck room lights, and that is for the shutters itself. So we got a little bit of privacy in here, obviously just with those lights giving a little bit of ambiance to the whole room itself. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that that is simply mirrored on the other side. No, I'm wrong. This actually leads into crew quarters. Now the crew quarters, as you can see, he's used the hallways over here and created what basically looks like bunk beds. So obviously we've got some crew that can sleep inside here. That's possibly for the captain or the senior officer on the ship. And once again, leading out into a nice view of space. So, yeah, a very clever design that was found in the beginning. Now, obviously, if you've got a block right in front of the thruster, the block will get melted, the block will get damaged. But if you have open rooms like you do over here, you can see that here this allows the ship to basically move, but also protects the thrusters in a way. So this way, obviously, in order to destroy the thruster, you have to get through the armor first, then only will the thrusters be damaged. So it gives your ship a lot of hidden maneuverability. Somebody might spot the ship from a distance and be like, ooh, easy target, they don't have that much maneuverability, but as soon as they get here, the ship does a 180 on them without them expecting that, and that is a very good thing to have. Element of surprise is always very good, and obviously this is mirrored then once again on the other side as well. Now this flight over here is obviously the main room itself. This is what leads in from the hangar bay itself. Obviously nice screen as you're greeted with this nice checklist basically. Are your tools secured? Are your mag boots on? Is the cargo bay door closed? Is the garage sealed? Is the landing gear locked? And do you know where the cat is? So a little bit of humor, quite nice. And obviously it can be viewed from engineers or workers from the protection of this room over here. But it does also funnel down. Now this funnels down into the aft gravity bay and starboard hangar access. So we've got the gravity generator over here, obviously giving us, well, gravity for the entire ship. That is once again where we can see some of the reactors. Beautiful view out from that section, which leads then into a room over here that leads to the starboard hangar. Pretty straightforward. That's just the other side of the main hangar itself. So nothing too impressive in that room. So obviously just different points of view, different viewing decks, but very, very well used of space once again. No real wasted space in the ship apart from those utility rooms, but once again those utility rooms would serve a purpose if you had a couple of mods maybe installed. Now I'm going to go down. Actually no, let's go to the B deck first before we carry on going down. So the B deck leads to the reactor tower, lowest shaft, stairwell. That's a mouthful. And this once again, as you can remember, we had those rotating discs at the top there. That leads all the way down. And yes, those are 3 nuclear reactors stacked on top of one another, giving us power to this absolute beast of a machine. So this will serve a true purpose of transporting cargo. If you don't have enough space in this cargo hauler, you will never have enough space. This once again just leads back into the B garage. Now over here, I do believe this is almost like a blueprint room. Once again, we've got some welders from the roof. You could possibly weld up a couple of things over here. I'm not actually sure if that goes somewhere. Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna do this quickly. I think, no, I'm gonna leave the surprise for when we get back up to the roof. Just hope I don't forget about that. I think I was a complete idiot in missing that out. But we do have the assembler bay. This is obviously where all the assemblers are, where you can get hold of all the components that you need, along with a whole bunch of oxygen containers. It's a very simple room, very clean, very simple, very practical once again. And I do believe that leads down through to the B deck utilities. Once again, very empty section, but once again, mods will fix that for you. So it looked like the ship didn't have a lot to offer, but now that we're reaching the lower decks, there's actually quite a lot to offer, and I do believe this just leads out to space. Yes, it does. I didn't even know that door was there. Holy shit. Very cleverly placed entrance and exit into the ship itself. So we'll funnel down again, obviously into the utility section, drop down, and there's no real place to go from this point. This just loops around to the back to the I'm not going to say it, because if I say it, you guys will know exactly what it is. That obviously leads back into that section, and this, I do believe, leads to the bridge. We've got the cryo bay. Once again, for those long journeys, our crew can go into cryo sleep, basically just shortening those journeys up a little bit. That leads into the refineries. Now, this is where you can pull up components that you need. Refineries, obviously, breaking down all the ore, all the utilities that you pulled from asteroids or planets, breaking it down into components, into basically ingots, so that ingots can be turned into resources. This leads into the medical bay. Once again, very, very important thing to have, and I like the bright lights that they've gone for, basically mimicking a hospital, if you want to call it that. Once again, we've got a nice view into space over there, and if I'm not mistaken, that leads into a briefing room. So pretty simple. Not a very big crew is needed for a ship like this, despite its size. As you can see, we've only got 5 chairs for briefing over here, so you can sit down, you can listen to your commanding officer giving you the orders, telling you what the operations of the day are. And then this leads into the bridge and the airlocks themselves. That goes through to the stairwell to the bridge. This leads through to the computer bay. Now I do believe once again this is just where the programmable blocks and the timer blocks are. Very good thing to have once again. We've got some displays over here, and I'm not sure, that's the remote control forward autopilot. So if you press that button, our ship's going to move forward. Simple. But obviously if there's something in the way, it will try and fly right through it, which is a bad thing. So this, I do believe, is going to drop us down onto the bridge itself, and this is where it is flown manually if needed. That just leads to the airlock, and this leads to the bridge over here. Come on, open up, and I was correct. This is where your flying is done. This is where you control the ship. So it was correct. That viewpoint that we saw underneath the ship, that is actually the cockpit. Very clever to place it over there, because obviously somebody's going to think the one on top there, being the main viewing point, they're going to think that's the bridge. They're going to waste ammunition, time, and energy trying to get to it, and possibly save you while everything is placed down here. And as you can see, we've got the flight seat right over here. So should we need to, we can control it from this point. Now, oh, damn it, wrong button. Now, from this point, I can't actually zoom out anymore. That's how big the ship is. I can't zoom out anymore from the front view over there. But if we zoom in, we can see, stunning as always. You can hear those engines at the back are busy running. We can see them kind of working at the back there, but we obviously can't get a view on them because we can't zoom out far enough. Oh, there we go. There's a nice bright view of one of the engines running. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Once again, having a look at 3 of the most awesome community creations out there. The series will obviously continue next week with another 3 creations, showing off more, and I'm possibly going to get into some of the creations that actually make use of mods, so that we can truly see what and how beautiful these ships can become when mods are used. Now, don't worry, I'm not only going to be doing ships, I will also be having a look at stations. I will be having a look at ships and basically crafts that are used outside and inside of atmosphere. And then also, like the previous video with Notre Dame, I'll be looking at those quirky random machines that have got no point or reason being in this world, but they are because the designers are awesome. Now, I really do hope you guys enjoyed that episode. If you did, by all means, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see all you beautiful people in my next episode. But obviously, until then, cheers.